So yesterday I asked my Facebook page a question, and that question was, what do you think the future of drumming is going to look like? And to my surprise, there was a huge amount of comments on this, so I decided to share it in a bunch of other drumming groups on Facebook, and of course, it kind of ruffled some feathers, so I wanted to bring this to YouTube and ask you and have an open discussion about where you think the future of drumming is going to go. Before you go and comment down below, I want you to go to the description and click the link for the hand speed mini course for you to download at absolutely no cost, and I want to see you there. I want to help you improve your drumming. I'm hoping that it looks like real drums and not using technology to perfectly sync everything, sucking the life and authenticity out of music. Now that's interesting because how we're using tools today to write drum parts as opposed to hiring a real drummer has really changed the way we've actually come to make music. And what I find too is that not only are people using these tools to make music, is that they're actually using these drum machines and these drum programs to write their music instead of hiring a real session drummer like myself. Now, I personally don't feel threatened by this because I still get lots of emails and session work from clients who actually use drums to write their parts. And if anything, it actually helps me out a shit ton with writing my own drum parts, because oftentimes these people come to me with ideas in their head that are pre-written, and it helps me get my ideas out, and it's just a matter of me playing what they wrote, but with real recorded drums. I think that in metal stuff, we will return to simple drumming. More and more drummers are recognized and applause for simplicity and groove more than rapidity and technicity. And you know who does this really well is Mario Duplantier from Gojira. He is really simple with his drumming, but he serves the music and he serves the song extremely well. Now, I know there is room for technicality and speed still in the metal drumming genre because the music calls for it, but if you're just like annoyingly playing blast beats over other things that don't quite musically fit, then I can see where you might have some cause for concern. And I think that's a really important skill to develop and to have as a drummer. You gotta understand that it's just not the drummer's show. It's about the whole group of musicians and the composition that you're writing together that's gonna shine. It's not just one giant drum solo. Unless, of course, you're doing a solo record, then that's a little different. You wanna kind of showcase your skills. Hopefully it will consist of a new generation of drummers that learn how to keep time rather than trying to copy every Neil Peart complex drum fill. Now this is kind of touchy because I think what he's actually trying to say is that he sees a lot of drummers struggle trying to play overly complex fills when they are not quite at that level yet. And while I do agree with this statement, I also do want to suggest that if you're a drummer and you're trying to learn complex things and you're trying to be an advanced drummer, then it's great to imitate the greats. It's great to take inspiration from other drummers who have done successfully well in their drumming career, because what that's gonna do is it's going to help you develop your ability to become creative by pulling inspiration from other great drummers in different genres. There's no harm in trying to imitate, and obviously imitation is the finest form of flattery. So if you're able to pull techniques and patterns and fills from all different drummers and interpret it in your own musical way and apply it to the drum set how you would do it, then there's no harm in doing that. But I think just going flat out and insulting other drummers because their musical ability is not wrong. We should encourage and empower drummers to become better. I don't think tearing them down is going to do anything positive for that person. So just keep that in mind. Less triggers and more skills, ... Please. Less triggers and more skills. So from what I understand, you're trying to say is that when you use more triggers, you have less skills. And I don't know, I think that's just going back to the old argument that triggers are cheating, and that's a whole other topic of discussion that I did a video on. You guys can go check that out if you want. Without getting into it too much, that's just an old way of thinking. If you think triggers are cheating, then you haven't tried triggers, and if you have, then clearly you suck at using triggers, because if anything, it takes the flaws and it amplifies them, and it makes you sound even worse. So what that guy's saying is not necessarily true, but I do see his opinion, and I don't necessarily agree with his viewpoints. I hope people will go back at liking organic performances and get bored of the oversimplified and easy stuff we hear today. But easy seems to be popular these days. Well, that's interesting because easy is easy to listen to, and I think that's why it appeals to such a large demographic of people and why people flock to it. You don't want to be driving down the road listening to like Obscura or Opeth, really trying to overanalyze what polyrhythms or what odd time meters they're playing while you're driving. No, you want to listen to something easy, that's easy to consume, easy to digest, and that makes you feel good. And I think that's why it's so popular, because it's so easy to digest and to listen to. What I really see in comments like this is that people get envious of the popularity of the size of these songs and these artists. And because it takes less musical talent, so to speak, I don't really think that's quite the case. It actually takes quite a bit of musical talent and quite a big team to put together a song like that, to be able to produce something that actually has mass appeal. So maybe it stems from a little bit of envy or jealousy towards those artists, but I think there's a place for these artists in a musical world, and it's obvious because a lot of people flock to it. So maybe we can return into some simplicity, or somehow put some pop music inside of metal, like with some clean singing and stuff, like that new Spirit Box record, if you haven't heard that yet. There's definitely a way to kind of merge those two styles together, but I don't think pop is going anywhere. Pop has been around for a long time, and it's called popular music for a reason, because it has general mass appeal. I'm praying that drumming becomes more of a community aspect again, like drum circles. I agree with this statement. I do really hope that drumming becomes more of a community outside of drumming, actually. I want more younger people to start drumming, and we can see that online now with new videos with all these younger, super skilled players just blowing a lot of us guys out of the water. And it's not embarrassing. It's actually great to see, because that's going to be the future of drumming. And by them playing so damn good, they're gonna really push us, the older players, to become a better version of ourselves. I think at that age, you're just like a sponge and you learn so quickly. And what's important about this is that we need to integrate what we do as drummers and apply it to the younger generation, so that they're brought up with the proper information and they're inspired to help inspire other people pick up the drums as well. Obviously, the drums aren't gonna go away. The drums are the first form of communication with humans. And I just think that we need to build more of a community around ideas and how to keep people all together, instead of segregating ourselves because of limitations and beliefs and what we think is right and what we think is wrong. I think we can all have opinions, but I don't like the separation between people because we have different opinions. And I think there's a commonality there, and it's music and drums. So if we can just remember that when we try to have an open discussion like this, I think there'll be a lot less segregation and a lot more community. Keep teaching students that you can only play with metronomes and clicks. It removes all the feel and human element out of drumming. Eventually it sounds like a bunch of drum machines, no feel at all. While I do partially agree with this, I think it is important to play along with a click, but you also need to build your internal time. And that internal time is going to be that little space before each note that is written on the 5-bar staff. That's going to be the feel that we learn to develop. And I don't think you can completely disregard the fact that you need to practice with a metronome, because you need to understand time and its relationship with the notes in between. So that's kind of more of a guide than anything, but we do need to build great internal feel. And I think that's what he's really trying to drive home with that comment on this post. I've seen a lot of comments too that people are saying a lot of what's going to happen with drums in the future is that they're going to all be programmed. The rest of the band's just going to set up a laptop on the stage or on the drum riser, or it's going to be like a holographic drum set with the drummer sitting up there, and they're just going to press play. And that's going to be it, because there's going to be no drummer anymore. And while I think that vision is partially cloudy, it's not a far stretch from the truth, because we're already integrating a hybrid setup. You'll see a lot of guys with electronics into their acoustic setup, and there's no harm with that. I think that's really cool. It's an innovative way to learn how to adapt and get with the times and not stay stuck with old ideas. I think as drummers, we need to expand our creativity and we need to expand our horizons. And how do we do that? Well, we take in this new technology and then we adapt and we overcome. And what actually happens is that we're opening up new avenues to being creative. And I think that will never be lost with drumming. We need to stay creative. We need to stay inspired. We need to find different ways to make new sounds. And how do we do that? Well, we implement new technology into our setups. We don't want to stay plain Jane. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I think as a drummer, we need to expand and we need to try out new things to see what we can accomplish as a musician. If you want to be a better drummer, then I've got 2 free mini courses for you down in the description below. Just click it and it's free, totally free, gets sent to you right away, and you'll be a better drummer after going through these exercises. I promise. You just got to put in the hard work. There's no magic pill. So if you want to watch more drumming discussions, I'll put a playlist up here about some other topics that we actually discussed on this channel. If you have any topics that you'd like to discuss with me on this channel, just let me know down in the comments below and I'll be sure to take note of it and I'll try to make a video on it as soon as I can. Thanks so much for watching this video. My name's Fleury and I hope you have an awesome day. I'll see you in the next one.